Hi guys, Walker here, and today we're in the Chery Tiggo 7 Pro. This is Chery's latest crossover, and at this price bracket, it's gonna go up against the very popular Coolray and Ford Territory. We'll get to drive this around for a couple of days. We'll take it on a road trip, and we'll see what it's like to live with. So, is it worth your money? Let's find out. Chinese cars have come a very long way. If you haven't driven one in the last 2 years, whatever preconceptions you have about them are probably way outdated. Like most, I also had low expectations for Chinese brands until I got to borrow the Chery Tiggo 8 last year. It more than exceeded my expectations. It wasn't just affordable, it wasn't just good for the money, it was better. It was better than anything in its price bracket at the time. So Chery was the first brand that changed my perception of Chinese cars. Fast forward a year later, they now have the Chery Tiggo 7 Pro. And this time, my expectations from the brand have changed. When I received the Tiggo 7 Pro for review, I had very high expectations for it. And spoiler alert, I wasn't disappointed. So one thing that I like about Chery is that they have a unified design language. So while the Tiggo 7 Pro looks different from the Tiggo 8 and the Tiggo 5X, you can tell that they belong to the same family tree. I'd say this is one of Chery's more eye-catching designs. It's quite a head-turner. At least 2 people approached me asking what it was, and both of them had nice things to say about the Chery Tiggo 7 Pro. Maganda raw, sabi nila. The steel paint job is eye-catching, but I feel like it's a love it or hate it deal. I mean, I love it, but Bethel doesn't like it as much. The Tiggo 7 Pro has a more aggressive looking fascia compared to Chery's other models. It looks quite angry, and I like angry looking cars. The Chery Tiggo 7 Pro has matrix LED headlights with LED DRLs. They're sharply angled downwards towards the grille. Speaking of the grille, it is the centerpiece of the design. The patterns on the grille trick your eyes into thinking that you're seeing perspective, and that the Chery logo at the center is floating in front of the pattern. If you look closely at it, you see tiny bits of chrome splattered all over the grille. I've never seen chrome used this way before in a grille. It's quite blingy, quite psychedelic, and definitely unique. The sides of the Tiggo 7 Pro share a lot of similarities with the Tiggo 8 and the Tiggo 5X. You have this strong shoulder line that runs from the headlight and goes all the way to the taillight. It has subtle fender bulges. The lines softly blend with each other, giving it a pretty sleek look. Like a lot of crossovers nowadays, it has a floating roof design. The Tiggo 7 Pro comes with a roof rack, and they're not just there for show. They're actually load-bearing, and they can carry 50 kilograms of weight. The Tiggo 7 Pro comes with 18-inch wheels. Gone are the Batman tires of the Tiggo 8. It now comes with Yokohama tires. The back looks similar to the Tiggo 8. It has LED taillights and dual fake exhaust tips. The Tiggo 7 Pro is bigger than the Coolray in all dimensions. It is taller than the Ford Territory, but it's shorter and it's not as wide. The Tiggo 7 Pro comes with a power liftgate. And that is one thing that the Coolray and the Ford Territory don't have. The Tiggo 7 Pro has 475 liters of cargo space, with all the seats up, and 1,500 liters of space with the second row seats down. That is more cargo space than both the Coolray and the Territory. So the interior of the Chery Tiggo 7 Pro looks very similar to the interior of the Chery Tiggo 8. Like the Tiggo 8, you have plenty of premium materials here. You have soft touch materials on the dashboard. This is soft touch. This is leather. You have these faux brushed aluminum accents on the doors. You have a leather wrapped steering wheel that's very nicely padded. And you have leather seats, both of which are power adjustable. The Tiggo 7 Pro does get a couple of additional features compared to the Tiggo 8. One of which is this wireless charging pad. The Chery Tiggo 7 Pro gets adjustable lumbar support, and that is something that I look for in a car. I'm not getting young and I need good lumbar support. And you get a much better 360 camera. The 360 camera on the Tiggo 7 Pro rivals the 360 cameras of the Geely Coolray and the Ford Territory. And one more thing, the Tiggo 7 Pro gets an electronic shifter. This has no mechanical linkage to the transmission. Okay, so at the second row now. Legroom here is quite plentiful. The front seat is adjusted to my height and I'm 5'8". You get two air vents here. There are no fan speed controls or temperature controls though. Over here you get one USB port and you got some storage over here. You get a foldable armrest with two cup holders. And of course, this is the best place to appreciate the panoramic sunroof. Here at the back seat you can see the full length of it. It gives you a better sense of space. It makes the cabin feel less claustrophobic. I have about 4 inches of headroom. If I were to sit at the center, right over here, I'd have even more headroom. I'd have... Is that 6 inches? I think that's 6 inches of headroom. Okay, so let me show you the engine of the Chery Tiggo 7 Pro. The engine is underneath all this plastic over here, but that's a 1.5 liter turbocharged engine. The specs would be over here. Okay, so we're joined on this trip again by Bethel. This time we're going to Pinto Art Museum in Antipolo. It's about an hour away from Quezon City. It's high up in the mountains. The roads going there are twisty and it's mostly uphill. As a road trip vehicle, the Tiggo 7 Pro passes my standards. It's comfortable. I love the lumbar support on the seats. Anyway, we'll talk more about the Tiggo 7 Pro later. For now, it's time for our obligatory time lapse. The Pinto Art Museum is a 1.2 hectare property dedicated to art. But even if you're not into art, it's a good place to just relax and unwind. They have plenty of gardens and lounge areas. They also have a restaurant and the food is pretty good. If you're into art though, a day is not going to be enough to explore the entire place. It has multiple indoor galleries. There's art everywhere. There's art in the gardens, You can see it hanging on the trees. The entire place has a pretty surreal feel to it. So yeah, if you're gonna go there, I suggest that you go there on a weekday so there will be fewer people. Okay, so it was a 2-hour trip back and forth, and my back was okay. The lumbar support helped, and it also helped that the suspension was pretty soft. By the way, the riding position of the Tiggo 7 Pro is a lot higher than most of its competitors. So from inside the Tiggo 7 Pro, it feels like you're driving a much larger car. It feels bigger than the Territory. And crossovers like the MG ZS and the EcoSport look tiny from inside the Tiggo 7 Pro. The Tiggo 7 Pro is a comfortable cruiser. It is by no means sporty, and that's okay. I'm pretty sure most people who buy crossovers don't care about acceleration or handling anyway. The Tiggo 7 Pro is based on the T1X chassis, which is a shared platform with Jaguar and Land Rover. It is very quiet inside the cabin. Noise insulation is very good, and the suspension does a good job of absorbing road imperfections. The Tiggo 7 Pro has the same engine as the Tiggo 8, but because of its CVT transmission, it doesn't feel as sporty. Acceleration is okay for a crossover, but as you'd expect from a CVT, you get that droning sound under hard acceleration. If you drive it normally though, it's like any other automatic. The advantage of the CVT though is that it doesn't feel as jerky in stop-and-go traffic, like the Tiggo 8. The Tiggo 7 Pro feels like a much larger crossover. It tends to lean a bit more in the corners, but it's never excessive. Steering is light, but not as light as the steering of the Territory. Also, it stiffens up as you approach highway speeds. As for safety equipment, it has the usual assortment of acronyms that you find on most modern cars. It has ABS, EBD, ESP. In addition to those, the Tiggo 7 also has a brake assist system. If it detects an emergency, it applies additional brake pressure. It's not the same as the Territory's automatic emergency braking, because the Tiggo 7 system still requires you to step on the brakes. It will not automatically apply the brakes for you. As for fuel efficiency, it should get 8 to 11 kpl in the city and around 16 kpl on the highway. Okay, so what do I like about the Chery Tiggo 7 Pro? Number one, I love the seats. I like the fact that I have adjustable lumbar support here. They're pretty comfortable, they're covered in leather, and both front seats are power adjustable. Number two, I like the fact that it has a lot of tech gizmos. It has a wireless charging pad, which is something that you get on the Ford Territory, but not on the Geely Coolray. It also has a 360 camera and a panoramic sunroof, but you get both of those on the Geely Coolray and the Ford Territory. I like the dual zone climate control. This was quite useful during my road trip to Antipolo because Bethel doesn't like it when it's cold, and I like it when it's cold. So we can set our climate zones separately. I like the NVH levels of the car. It feels very quiet in here. It feels very refined. I love the steering. It has a bit of weight to it. It doesn't feel too light. And it stiffens up when you're going faster. So overall, the Tiggo 7 Pro is a pretty impressive crossover. But if I had to nitpick, I have a list here of things that I don't quite like about the Tiggo 7 Pro. Number one would be these cup holders over here. Aside from being very small, they're too close to each other. So if you have two medium-sized cups from McDo, they're gonna be pretty crowded in there. Number two would be the shifter. It's an electronic shifter. Number one, it takes a bit of getting used to. Number two, if you have to go from reverse to drive, you have to pull on the lever twice, like so. And if you want to go from drive to reverse, you have to push on it twice. And I feel like that's an unnecessary extra step. Aside from that, I don't really have any issues with the car. Like I said, it's a very good crossover. In terms of features, styling, and pricing, the Tiggo 7 Pro is already a compelling choice. But I think what makes Chery's product so attractive is the warranty and after-sales support. Chery offers 3 years of free PMS, They also offer home service PMS. They offer 5 years of vehicle warranty, and get this, 10 years or 1 million kilometers of engine warranty. Yup, that's 1 million kilometers. That's not a typo. If you're still on the fence about buying a Chinese brand because of reliability issues, then the warranty should put your mind at ease. As for the pricing, the Tiggo 7 Pro still currently sells for 1,198,000 pesos. Expect that price to stay until the end of the month, after which the DTI tariffs should increase the price by a little bit. Overall, if you want a comfortable, premium feeling crossover that offers good value for money and ridiculously good warranty, then the Tiggo 7 Pro might be the right crossover for you.